about stepping up?
Bang! Bang!
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
Hello and welcome back, y'all, to another special episode of the Ghost of Tsushima Yotei Gamecast. I'm your host, Andrew Zink, and I'm super excited to be doing another episode about more Ghost of Yotei news and more information releases that we've gotten. I'm going to start off this episode talking about the Song of Vengeance trailer that was released just yesterday at Gamescom 2025 on day one. Oh my god, this game looks so good. The trailer was awesome. I can't wait to dive into it. And there were a couple other things that came out as well. There was also what's called the official Yari trailer, and the Yari is the spear in Ghost of Yotei. So there was a 40-second long trailer that was released for some Yari gameplay that we'll get to, and then there was actually an update to the PlayStation website just with some more information about the game. So we'll get to that and just run through all of this and talk about it. So yeah, really exciting stuff. This episode is probably going to drop on the morning of Friday, August 22nd. So I hope all of you enjoy it when it comes out. So yeah, we'll just start with the most exciting release that we've gotten so far, which is the Song of Vengeance trailer at Gamescom. So this was just an awesome trailer. It really was. And oh my god, what I would have done to be one of the people in the crowd who got to see this reveal live. It looked so cool watching it on the live stream. And yeah, I just want to add quickly, Gamescom is a yearly festival that I guess is held in Cologne, Germany every year. And yeah, it's like the world's largest video game festival, and it's like considered a leading trade fair for digital games culture. So there's always lots of releases and stuff there. So that's really cool. So yeah, we'll just dive into the Song of Vengeance trailer. So the trailer opens up and it's just awesome immediately. There's this really cool song that's playing in the background that's kind of like, playing over what's happening. And so it starts with Atsu, looking very determined, but almost a bit unsure of herself, like she's about to face something very significant. And she's standing outside of some sort of a house. And, she's standing in front of this door. So as she presses against the door to open it, in the trailer, it then starts a bunch of flashbacks to this traumatic childhood incident that, from what I picked up on one of the previous episodes on this podcast, she refers to as the Night of the Burning Tree, and that is the night where her family was killed by the Yotei 6, which is the, whole starting point for this game and where her whole journey is taking her and hunting down the Yotei 6. So yeah, and you just kind of get a flash of, a couple different things in this incident. It's like you see her on the ground, you see this big memorable tree at her house burning, you see a bunch of burning in the background, you see some of the Yotei 6 members, like milling about, standing there. So, really setting the scene. And again, this was just an awesome cinematic trailer. There wasn't any gameplay here. So then she kind of closes her eyes as if to steel herself and like take a deep breath for like what she's about to encounter inside. And I just really loved this. I was just excited to find out what it was. And it felt like such a human, real reaction before you are about to have like a big moment where it's like you close your eyes and take a breath before you step into a room or something like that. So then Atsu opens the door to this house and there's 5 or 6 soldiers or people inside, and they're all just kind of like sitting around. They're not really armored. And then who we now know is one of the main Yotei 6 enemies, a boss named the Snake. He is one of them. And so he's there, and as the door opens, he looks up at Atsu and he holds up a pipe and he says, like, aren't you going to give me a light? And then he does this like very evil smile at her. And that's the first part of the scene in this trailer that cuts away there. Yeah, and I noticed that the snake had like kind of just messed up teeth and almost like he had a couple like metal caps as teeth in his mouth, and some of his teeth were like jagged and pointy, and it's kind of it can often be a sign of confidence from a villain where it's like they're facing the hero and they meet them with this like evil humor, almost like showing that they're not worried. So yeah, right away it's like setting up that the snake is an enemy here, someone you're going to encounter. And what was interesting about this, and this is from comparing it to the gameplay release that we got in July. In that gameplay release, you get a cinematic cutscene where it looks like Atsu is encountering the snake for the first time, and they're outside of the building and it's burning. So maybe that will happen later. Maybe you'll enter the building, kill the guys, and eventually you end up outside one-on-one alone with the snake. And then by then, like, you're burning his house, and that's where that scene happens. But I'm wondering if, they've had certain scenes that aren't going to be in the game, but they're putting in the trailer, just to give us something that won't spoil anything when the game comes out, and this might be one of them. So I thought that was a really cool way to start the whole trailer. You're getting some more. You're seeing the snake. You're seeing that he has some guys with him. You get some flashbacks. You get a little bit of like characterization about Atsu and how she handles herself before going into moments like this. So then, yeah, the next scene starts and it cuts to just this beautiful scene looking up at Mount Yotei, and Atsu like rides on into the camera, or onto camera, and then it just gives you kind of like a montage, a quick montage of just these beautiful sceneries, and Atsu like riding her horse through a flower field, sliding down a rock face, which we know, you're going to be able to do now to get around faster, walking across like a rope that is suspended over this huge chasm. Definitely looks terrifying. Objectively gorgeous. You can just see mountains in the background and mist, and oh my god, just looks amazing. And then the last part of the montage is Atsu like climbing up rocks, like a cliff face. And so I thought that was really cool. It's like they give you like 4 or 5 different like just clips of how you can traverse this world, and I just think it's going to be so cool. You can tell right away that the movement is more fluid. You're going to be moving around faster. There's a lot of ways to get around. I still thought Ghost of Tsushima was pretty good on all this, but it's like they're just taking it to the next level with all of it, and I just really can't wait. And this whole scene right here, this was like 5 to 7 seconds. It's just like she's riding on the horse, sliding down the rock face, crossing the suspended rope over the chasm, climbing up the rocks. And then the last part of this scene is fighting 2 ninjas in the snowy area, which we can say with pretty good certainty at this point that the snowy enemies are probably the Kitsune. That's the faction with the fox emblem. So and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So yeah, that's all really cool. And then you kind of move on to the next scene in this trailer, in which it's a cut scene of who we now know. It definitely looks pretty most likely to be Lord Saito, one of the Yotei Six, and it's him calling Atsu, the swordsmith's daughter, and saying, I watched that tree burn. And then Atsu has another flashback, and it shows you this burning tree, and this was a really cool cut. It shows like a much younger version of Lord Saito there at the Night of the Burning Tree with the burning farmstead and house and everything, surrounded by the other Yotei Six. And then in the trailer, he asks how she escaped that night, and she says, the same way I've survived every battle, basically just saying like, with determination to kill you. And so that was super epic. And then you get another quick montage of just like 2 or 3 different like duels and battles that Atsu you're presumably going to play throughout the game. And then it's like shattered with Lord Saito doing an evil laugh. So just really, really cool. And then again, that's like the end of the scene. And I just thought the way they constructed this trailer was so cool, because it's like every span of like 10 to 15 seconds, you're getting so much in such a short amount of time, which is just really, really cool to see. And there's obviously always a lot to break down and see here. So that was cool. And then, the next scene, it then just kind of has like a miscellaneous mishmash of Atsu, just going throughout the world in the game. And it starts with like a 6 scene of your wolf companion that you're going to have, like distracting an enemy. I think it was a shield enemy. And then it's like, while the enemy is trying to like free its arm from the wolf's mouth, Atsu just cuts him down. Like he's just distracted and totally unable to handle it. It kind of reminded me of like the Heavenly Strike move from Ghost of Tsushima. But so that, and again, that was like 2 seconds. That was like 2 or 3 seconds of this trailer. So that was awesome. Then it shows Atsu just riding through awesome landscapes, like just a bunch of different beautiful landscapes that are going to be just so cool to explore throughout the game. And then you see like a couple different fights, and you see one fight with like a couple, what they look like bandits. They're not really armored like samurai or more heavily armored mercenaries or something. They just look like bandits. And so one of them, I noticed, like, it looked like they were wielding almost like dual hatchets or some sort of small sickle. So I just thought that was cool, because that's kind of a new weapon from Ghost of Tsushima. And I'm just really excited to see how many different new weapons there's going to be for the enemies. We obviously know that Atsu gets an arsenal at her disposal, whereas in Ghost of Tsushima, at least as far as melee weapons are concerned, you kind of just have your katana and the short sword dagger sort of weapon, and that's all you get. But it seems like they've expanded the types of weapons that enemies are going to have too, and that's something cool to pick out here. Yeah, and so then it shows Atsu walking past some dead bodies, just like on her way throughout the map and the world. Really cool stuff. And then there's another clip of Atsu riding toward what looks like, a castle with a flaming rock from a catapult going overhead towards the castle. So here's what made me so excited about this. Actually, we're almost at the end of the trailer, so I'll just say that in just a second here. So, yeah, then you get a voiceover starting here towards the end of this trailer, and it's of Atsu calling herself a ruthless spirit driven by vengeance, and it shows her putting on the mask that she wears, which is kind of a mask that's associated with the Onryo, and that's like from Japanese folklore. It's like a spirit that's driven by vengeance. It's exactly as Atsu said, and they talked about that in the gameplay release. And then Atsu says, sometimes I feel that is what I am, ruthless spirit driven by revenge. And that is the end of the trailer. And then there's one more thing where they then reveal Ghost of Yotei Legends releasing in 2026. And Legends is the free-to-play multiplayer mode that you can play in Ghost of Tsushima. So really cool to know that they're bringing that back for Ghost of Yotei, and that will release in 2026. So that's really cool. So all in all, I thought this was an awesome trailer, just really well done. It's about 2 minutes long, but it ends up being more like 1:30 of the world stuff. And oh my god, I mean, the scenery just looks beautiful. It looks like there's going to be so many different types of additions to the combat. I mean, you're going to have more agility, more ways of getting around. I mean, I just think this looks so cool. And here's what I wanted to add before about when Atsu's riding towards the flaming castle with what looks like a flaming rock that's been flung on your side in a siege towards the castle you're heading towards. What I'm really excited about for this is that it shows that you're going to be part of a siege as the attacker. And just generally speaking, I wasn't sure if there was going to be sieges in Ghost of Yotei. And one of the reasons why is just the story that's happening and the type of enemy that you're fighting. So in this, it seems like the Yotei 6, they're not necessarily an army. It's more like they're very powerful mercenary factions in northern Japan. And, I just wasn't sure if you were going to, you were ever going to be defending against sieges, or if you were ever going to be a part of sieges either, because it just doesn't seem like that might not, it could be possible that wouldn't be part of this universe in this time period and this specific context. Whereas if you compare it to Ghost of Tsushima, you're fighting the Mongol army. So obviously there's a whole mission, the Ghost of Yarikawa in Ghost of Tsushima, where the Mongols have siege weapons. You're often seeing flaming boulders and various Mongol siege weapons and lots of flaming arrows and, various things like that are parts of sieges, either defending forts or attacking. And so just given that this is a different setting than that, there's not an organized army in Ghost of Yotei like there is compared to the Mongol army in Ghost of Tsushima. I was really excited to see this because it means we're going to get some cool sieges in there. So I really hope that's the case. And again, I just wonder, who is Atsu? Who are we going to recruit in the game that could construct siege weapons for us? Where are we going to get that from? And who are we going to recruit to supply, the large number of soldiers that you would need for a siege? And so these are all the types of questions I just can't wait to find out by playing the game. So, hey, I hope y'all are as excited as I am from what this trailer gave us and to find all this out. So, next we'll move on to the official Yari trailer. And this is only 40 seconds long. This was released on Friday, August 15th, 2025. And so this trailer opens up with Atsu approaching 6 soldiers on a bridge, and there's some blood on this, on the bridge as you're approaching it. So the Yari is the spear weapon that you're going to get in this game. This looks awesome. So this trailer starts with this awesome charge attack from range. And so it's Atsu just sprints forward and basically just impales the enemy with a spear, and it's just quick and brutal. And it's from range, so that's just a really cool option. That's kind of different from Ghost of Tsushima, where as far as melee weapons were concerned, you didn't have a way to engage enemies from range with a melee weapon. So that's going to be really cool to work into the combat here and change the dynamic of the combat. And we're going to talk more about that from the website updates in just a second on this. But so then after you kill the first enemy, there's kind of just a bunch of sick moves with the spear where Atsu just takes out another 3 or 4 soldiers, and just shows the spear to be a very powerful weapon, which is super cool. But then there's this what looks like a special move. It looks like some sort of technique you could probably learn from a skill tree through the game, where Atsu plants the butt of the spear on the ground and then jumps and swings herself off the spear to kick an enemy in the chest and make him fly back. And then he's basically stunned and startled on the ground, and it's just followed up by a really quick kill move basically, and that was it. And so what was really cool about that is, again, that looked like a very specific ability. And so that's just going to be, oh my God. I mean, imagine if for each one of these weapons, there's specific abilities like this that you can learn. And that's what I mean. It's like the combat is just going to be so agile and aerodynamic and acrobatic, and we might just get to see, a new side of combat that we haven't seen in games before. Certainly not in Ghost of Tsushima to this degree, and I'm just super excited to see how that plays out and what that looks like here. And this is all just from, we can just talk about this and figure and determine it from just seeing this one time. There's probably other techniques that we don't see in this trailer that you're going to be able to learn that just improve, the agility of the game and how smoothly it flows. Yeah, so then at this point in the Yari trailer, we're pretty much at the end. There's only one last enemy on this bridge. And Atsu then, throws in his face something that we've seen before, which is, I think they call it the Metsubishi, the blinding Metsubishi. And it's like kind of like dust or smoke powder that you just throw in someone's face and it temporarily blinds them. And so then Atsu does that. This enemy is blinded. And then there's this hole on the side of the bridge because the bridge has been damaged a lot. And you just kick the guy off, and that's through this gap down into a chasm, and that's it.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
16 years from today, Greg Gerstner will finally land the perfect cannonball. Epic splash. Unsuspecting friends. A work of art only possible because Greg is already meeting all these same people at AARP volunteer and community events that keep him active and involved and help make sure his happiness lives as long as he does. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Learn more at aarp.org/local.
So, I mean, for a 40-second trailer, I thought this was sick. And just what a, fun little thing to release just to, keep us excited, have it feel like there's tiny tidbits dropping here and there to keep everyone engaged, not have it be too long between the gameplay release and the actual release in October and, this new trailer at Gamescom. So I thought this was really awesome. And one of the things I wanted to mention from this is how cool it's going to be to have being able to kill enemies from falling, have that be more smoothly ingrained into the game. And they're clearly establishing that right here, where it's anytime an enemy is near a cliff or, an edge and can fall, it seems like it's going to be you can just kick them off pretty much at will. And, that is a little different than Ghost of Tsushima, where there were a lot of times where, you'd be fighting an enemy on the edge of a cliff or on the edge of a building or something. And even if they were totally backed up against the edge of it, you could be hitting them with your sword or attacking them, and they'd kind of just be up against an invisible wall. So it's just so exciting and cool to imagine, a really smoothly ingrained combat where you're going to be able to throw enemies, off the edge of something and have that be part of your combat. And I wanted that so many times in Ghost of Tsushima. And actually, to me, one of the games that I liked the most that did that was Baldur's Gate 3. And everybody knows who's played it that game is just if you can think about it, you can practically do it in that game. And yeah, anytime you're near a ledge, you can just use your bonus action to shove. And you can just shove someone off a cliff. And it's just fun to be resourceful like that, it's a form of creativity, and it allows you to just feel like every game, every scene, every fight that you play, it's all yours. You get through it and you find your own way through it. And so the more customization, the more options there are, the more it feels special and you found your own way through it. So I'm so excited, so excited for that. So yeah, at this point, we can get to the one last new batch of news that we got, which was a website to the PlayStation, it was a PlayStation website update for Ghost of Yotei. So this update happened around the same time that the trailer released, the Yari trailer. So this was around Friday, August 15th of 2025. So they then show definitively the 6 Yotei factions that you will fight, the people who make up the Yotei 6. So just want to say for anyone who listened to the previous episodes I did of just uncovering the secrets of the gameplay reveal and diving in. I mean, I'm feeling very good and vindicated about myself right now because we got a lot of it right. A lot of it has been confirmed and a lot of this looks right. And I'm just so excited. This looks so cool. So the people who make up the Yotei 6 are as follows. There's the snake. So it lists their names and it lists a portrait of them. And I thought this was so cool. So it lists the snake, and you've seen the snake in the trailer already. So this is like an older man with some very thinned long hair. And he has a sword and a mask in this portrait. And I feel like you kind of couldn't see this in the trailer so far from the snake, but in this portrait you can see what looks like is going to be a snake tattoo going down his torso. So that's kind of cool that it's tattooed on his body and part of his character so definitively. So then the next enemy listed are the Kitsune, and it has the cool fox mask, the dangerous looking fox mask that they're wearing, and they're armored. So this just looks like it's like a Kitsune soldier, but it gives a much different feel than the snake. Like these guys are armored and much more dangerous, and they're an actual faction. As far as the snake, I still don't know if the snake is just one guy on his own who's resourceful, or if he's going to have a group of mercenaries or people serving him as well. So that's going to be something interesting to find out. So the next faction listed is the Oni, and these are the people who have red armor. That's their portrait. It's a bulky soldier with a mask with red armor. They look very muscular, very thick armor, very dangerous. Pretty sure that the Oni are the people who are going to be residing in the war-torn landscape, of the Mount Yotei region. And we kind of saw some gameplay and such of that in some of the previous reveals. So that looks cool. And then you see the spider and the dragon. That's the next one. So these are 2 enemies, and so these count as 2 people towards the Yotei 6. And so they're standing next to each other holding the matchlock rifles. And, we now know that those are called the Tanegashima matchlock rifle. So it looks like they're both holding that. And so that's kind of cool that, you're not only that there's going to be gunplay in this game, but that's kind of these enemies' specific strength. That's going to be one of their defining characteristics is that they have rifles and they're probably good with them. So I'm curious to see how you can, navigate that, because in Ghost of Tsushima, you can dodge and block arrows, and obviously you're not going to be able to block bullets. So you're probably going to have to dodge, but dodging a bullet is almost unrealistic. So I'm just curious to see how, that's incorporated into combat and what that adds. And then, the final person of this Yotei 6 factions is Lord Saito. And this looks just like the guy that, we talked to in this, Song of Vengeance trailer. And he has kind of a nicer beard, and he definitely is wearing royal looking clothes. He's not necessarily wearing armor, but he's wearing a sword around, and, he's well adorned and well decorated. So that's just cool for them to establish definitively the names of each of these people that you're going to be going after, and kind of giving you their characteristics, that it's some of them are bulky samurai who live in a war-torn area and are clearly very dangerous in a very brute upfront head-to-head combat way, and whereas the Kitsune seem to be more ninja stealth focused with their hiding in the snow sort of thing, versus the snake or the spider and the dragon. And Lord Saito is probably the villain who's just my superpower is that I'm rich and I can buy so many soldiers and castles. That is my superpower. So that's probably what his is going to be. But all in all, really cool to see that. Just makes me even more excited to play the game and, check it all out. So, yeah, then after this, on the PlayStation website, they updated the types of weapons you're going to get to use, and they list them out. So they list the melee weapons, and it says on the website, the melee weapons featured in Ghost of Yotei are listed below. So there's the katana, precise and balanced, well-suited to duels with rival sword users. Dual katana, fast and flowing. Dual katana combos quickly overwhelm spear enemies. The Odachi, powerful and heavy, the Odachi counters heavy enemies with unstoppable attacks. Yari, long-range control that interrupts attacks and counters sickle-wielding enemies. Oh, we were right, y'all. It's sickles. Yeah, they're adding in these little sickles. That's cool. And then the last one for melee weapons is the Surigama, a wide-reaching chain and sickle, perfect for crowd control and breaking shield users. Yeah, oh my god, I can't wait for this game. I mean, this is just gonna be awesome, isn't it? I mean, all these different types of weapons, and you got to use them in different ways. I mean, I really can't wait to try out the dual katana. I think that's gonna be super cool. I wonder how many spear enemies are gonna be in the game, since that's what the dual katana's strength. And I'm curious to see how it feels to fight enemies with a weapon that doesn't necessarily match up with that weapon's vulnerability. But I just wonder, if it'll still flow well, or if it's more like you really should and kind of have to use, the right weapon combos with who you're fighting. So yeah, we've already gotten, a Surigama gameplay trailer. We've already gotten a Yari gameplay trailer. We've seen the katana used a bunch. We saw the Odachi used in the gameplay release in July. So all of that just looks so cool. And again, just kind of, it's nice to have it written out and established now, that it's okay, here's each weapon and here's what they're each well suited for. So I'm very excited about that. And then they have a section about ranged weapons. Oh my god, I mean, I just can't wait for all this. So yeah, let's dive into the ranged weapons, y'all. So it says on the PlayStation website, the ranged weapons available in Ghost of Yotei are mentioned below. Bow and arrow, wheeled short and long bows, each loaded with specialized arrows carrying different effects. The Tanegashima Matchlock, the modern solution for high impact, damaging shots with 2 different ammo types. Quick 4 tools. Turn the tables in close quarters with kunai, smoke bombs, blinding Metsubushi, and more. And that's it for ranged weapons. Yo, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait. So yeah, I mean, it establishes here again that there's going to be a short and a longbow, just like in Ghost of Tsushima. But how it says they're each loaded with specialized arrows carrying different effects, I can't wait to see what that is. In Ghost of Tsushima, there was mostly, I would say, just flaming arrows and the explosive arrows. Otherwise, the longbow heavy arrows would send enemy flying, but it's that's not really too different of an effect from the short bow arrows. But I just wonder what they're going to add in this. Maybe there's going to be poisons for your bow and arrow that you can use, or you can shoot blinding powder or other things like that. I'm just really interested. I just can't wait to figure this out. And then, yeah, we've seen the Tanegashima Matchlock used in the gameplay release in July. So that's going to be interesting. And I have one thing I'm going to add at the end of the ranged weapons here. But and then the last thing is how it calls them the quick 4 tools, the smoke bombs, kunai, and the blinding Metsubushi. So what's interesting about this is it's clearly the same types of tools as what in Ghost of Tsushima are called the ghost weapons. So that's just interesting to know that it's 300 years in the future, and the ghost is, very much became a persona for Jin that he embodied. I really wonder if Atsu is going to get called the Ghost of Yotei at all throughout the game. But, just the fact that the quick 4 tools, it kind of just shows almost more that, again, Atsu herself is, as they said in the gameplay trailer, a cutthroat, not mercenary, but she's not a samurai. Like, Atsu is definitively not a samurai. She is someone who does not have a code of honor, and she will just use whatever she can to get ahead in a fight. And calling it quick four tools is just another cool way to kind of show that, So I think that's really cool. And yeah, I can't wait to see how the kunai play in this game. I can't wait to see how the smoke bombs are, and this blinding Metsubushi powder, and it says more. It says there's going to be more quick four tools, so that's going to be really cool to see all that. Yeah, and the one last thing I wanted to add about the range weapons is I'm pretty sure you can get a pistol. I saw that on one of it's one of the things in the gameplay trailer from July where it was on screen for 0.3 seconds, but it was a pistol in your inventory that you could use. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be there. So, hey, y'all remember this. And if it's there, hey, we got eagle eyes on this podcast. That's what we try and have. But if it's not, I don't know. Guess we'll see. Hope you're not all disappointed if I got your hopes up and then it's not there. But I'm pretty sure it is. So then, yeah, the final section of the PlayStation website update are about PS5 features. So I'm just going to read through these, and here's what it says. So it says, Ghost of Yotei will take advantage of the PS5 hardware in the following ways. Tempest 3D audio. Players will immerse themselves in 1600s Japan, and 3D spatial audio creates unique soundscapes all around them. That sounds sick. Ultra high speed SSD. Players will benefit from PS5's fast storage with quick load times that instantly takes them to the beautiful landscapes of northern Japan. The next one is stunning visuals. The PS5's processing capabilities are leveraged to deliver lush and vibrant landscapes with snowy ridges, grass, fields of wildflowers, and rocky terrain. The next one is adaptive triggers. Players will feel the excitement of battle when using the bow, an arrow, or grappling hook, and will get a sense of the different terrain during exploration via the DualSense wireless controllers adaptive triggers. That is gonna be so sick. The DualSense controllers are just wild this way. And then the final part of this for the PS5 features and the final part of the website update and our episode here is the haptic feedback. Players will feel the thrill of fighting via vibrations of the DualSense wireless controllers haptic feedback. So, I mean, all this is just going to be incredible. I mean, the PS5's processing capabilities, about the vibrant landscapes, the Tempest 3D audio, that's going to be awesome. I'm really curious about the ultra high speed SSD, just to see, what the load times are like. And another thing I'm really curious about with this is how much storage Ghost of Yotei is going to take up. Because games now are starting to get huge. I mean, for me, I'm pretty sure Baldur's Gate 3 was 150 gigabytes or something. I'm pretty sure Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was 250 gigabytes or something. So that's something I'm really curious about. Hey, I'm not complaining. It is what it is, and you just manage your space as best you can. And then, yeah, I mean, hey, who's going to complain about the adaptive triggers on the DualSense controllers and feeling that vibration in your hands as you do something super cool with the weapon? So that's all just going to be so cool. And yeah, at this point, we've covered and wrapped up all of the new releases and, all the new information that has been out there since we did the last Surigama trailer. I think that was a couple of weeks ago now. I mean, just as a final review, some final comments, I can't wait. I can't wait for this. This is just going to be incredible. I think release day is about 6 weeks away. Oh my God. I mean, y'all, no one's going to see me. I'll say that much. When this game releases, I'm not going to see any of my friends. No one's going to know where I am. Well, you all will. I'm going to be playing this game. So, yeah, hey, if you guys liked this, let me know if you have any thoughts. You can reach out to us on Blue Sky, join the Robots Radio Discord channel. We can chat in the Ghost of Tsushima Yotei Gamecast Discord channel there. You can send us an email or, leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and enjoyed hearing about this. If you have any thoughts, any comments, or anything I missed, or anything that you think is going to be cool or worthwhile to talk about, feel free to, check out all of our channel links in the show notes. That's all there. So, hey, just want to thank you all for listening, and we'll have another episode out soon as we're getting close to finishing up the Ghost of Tsushima story and game episodes on that. So, thank you all. Keep tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.